My wife humiliated me so much that she did not even try to hide her fact of infidelity, as many cheating wives do, for example. Instead, she tried to put it all on public display. I was confused at first and didn't know what to do, but karma put everything in its place. Thankfully, it's finally over. If someone had warned me about the headache of planning a large wedding, I would have declined right away. But as is often the case with these things, the true challenges reveal themselves gradually, usually when it's too late to back out. I've been married before, happily so. I now fully appreciate my late wife Julie's choice of a small wedding. It was a lovely, intimate affair with minimal fuss, just close friends and family, quiet and romantic. But my new fiancée Rachel insisted on a grand spectacle, a huge wedding with all the trimmings. Who cares if the napkin color matches the flowers? Certainly not me. But for everyone else involved, it seemed crucial. And by everyone else, I mean the women. My soon-to-be father-in-law wisely stayed out of it. So I found myself at the mercy of my mother-in-law, Rachel, and her best friend, Amber. Sure, I was consulted on matters like whether the church should be adorned with roses or lilies, but it seemed everyone considered me incompetent in such matters, which wasn't far from the truth. From time to time, I attempted to raise objections by referencing my beautiful, humble ceremony with Julie, but my concerns were disregarded. In fact, my comments seemed to provoke outright hostility, for reasons unbeknownst to me. Yes, I've experienced love before, deep, profound love. I tragically lost my beloved wife in a freak accident. But does that mean I should never speak of her again? Should I treat her as if she never existed? Absolutely not. Rachel was well aware of my past, and Julie will always hold a special place in my heart. After enduring weeks of feigned interest in countless trivial decisions, I felt we deserved a break. It seemed like everything was sorted out, and things were progressing smoothly. Even mundane matters like the type of umbrella for sudden rain and the car for transportation from the church to the reception were settled. The only detail left undecided, which I wisely chose not to mention, was the possibility of a sudden nuclear strike in the color of the ABC protection suits. In any case, everyone appeared content with the progress of the preparations, though I sensed one urgent matter remained. It was imperative to re-establish a connection with the woman I intended to marry soon, who seemed somewhat distant, likely due to the stress of wedding planning. Rachel had always understood my past with Julie and helped me overcome my struggles. She pulled me out of deep depression and reintroduced me to life. She even tolerated the occasional slip of calling her Julie during intimate moments, though it occurred less frequently over time. As my love for Rachel grew over the months, perhaps matching what I felt for Julie, she made some adjustments, like removing Julie's photos from our home after moving in. There were disagreements about keeping Julie's belongings and redecorating, but we persevered, knowing it wouldn't be easy. Despite challenges, our love flourished, leading me to propose. Her agreement came after a surprisingly prolonged period of contemplation, which caught me off guard and left me somewhat disappointed. Given her relentless pursuit of me, I had assumed she shared my dreams. Yet she merely stared at me blankly for what felt like hours, though it was only seconds. "Yes, Alex, I do want to marry you, but..." "But what?" "Alex, you know, some things haven't been exactly easy around here for me." "What do you mean, Julie?" She just looked at me with a pained expression. "Oh, damn." "Rachel. I meant Rachel, of course. Alex, you're a great guy. And I know you've been through hell. I also believe you when you say you love me. But I'm afraid you love more than one woman. Rachel, please believe me. I'm just too used to the name Julie. I love you. I love only you." She burst into tears and flew into my arms. "Yes, Alex, I'll marry you. But please don't hurt me too much, okay?" "I won't, Rachel, I won't." That moment wasn't my finest, but I hoped my minor mistake wouldn't strain our relationship too much. There appeared to be a slight tension between us afterward, although the exact reason was unclear to me, given the stress of preparations had begun to weigh on me as well. My strategy was to mend things with Rachel, who was currently a bit irritable, by arranging a surprise wellness weekend up north. Her mood had been deteriorating steadily throughout the planning process, and despite her heavy involvement, it didn't seem to bring her any joy. Regardless, it was all set now. All that remained was for us to actually tie the knot. I fervently hoped that my surprise weekend would be a success. I was committed to avoiding any mention of Julie or wedding specifics at all costs. Ooh, Alex. I even got a kiss at that moment, which had become quite rare. A romantic wellness weekend? Oh, darling, that's lovely. Thank you. She seemed genuinely pleased, and it dawned on me how tense I'd been, fearing rejection once more. But my surprise was well received. Excellent. Just what we needed to mend our strained relationship. Yeah, I've been there before. The hotel is delightful. They have a fantastic spa area. Julie particularly enjoyed the seafood restaurant. You'll see, it'll be marvelous. Damn, I mentioned Julie again. I cursed myself. But other than a quick strange glance, Rachel didn't respond to it. We arrived at the hotel early, and despite the inclement weather, everything seemed nearly perfect. The hotel was lovely, the spa appeared delightful, and our room exceeded expectations. As we settled in, I couldn't help but think we'd have a wonderful time reconnecting. Repairing our relationship seemed promising, and the added possibility of intimacy didn't hurt. Alex, this room is fantastic. Yes. Once the weather clears, you'll have a view of the lake from here. It's quite romantic. How lovely. How did you know? I've stayed in this exact room before. Oh, you've been here previously. Well, yes, I have. I avoided mentioning Julie. Oh. She appeared somewhat surprised. Did you request this room specifically? Yes, I'm fond of it. I see. She seemed slightly upset, and I felt a hint of annoyance creeping in. Why was I expected to erase my past with Julie? Rachel knew I loved her, so why the insecurity? Was it such a big deal to stay in the same room I shared with my late wife? It held fond memories for me, and I saw no issue with it. The weather deteriorated rapidly, and shortly after we arrived, it escalated into a severe snowstorm. Michael, a friendly staff member at the reception, informed us that we would be confined to the hotel for several days. Oddly enough, I didn't mind. In fact, I found it somewhat romantic. I hadn't planned on venturing out of our room much anyway, except for essential meals and occasional relaxation in the spa. I was even relieved that outdoor activities were out of the question. Looks like we'll have some extra romantic time, I commented to Rachel. She appeared less than thrilled for some reason. I just hope I won't miss too much work, she unexpectedly retorted, a hint of annoyance creeping into her voice. A subtle warning bell sounded in the back of my mind. Shall we go grab something to eat? They have a fantastic restaurant. Sure. I requested a specific table from the waiter, and luck was on our side. It was available. Do you mean to say you've sat at this very table with Julie before? Yeah, the view from here is lovely. Should I wear a wig? A wig? Yeah, maybe even dress like Julie. Rachel, that's absurd. Alex, this needs to end. You've known about my past all along. Yeah, but I'm not here to relive your moments with her. I want to create new memories with you. I don't want to replay what you had with her. I'm Rachel. I'm not a replacement for Julie. Rachel, I am who I am. Julie is a significant part of my life and my past. So I'm supposed to share you with another woman for the rest of my life? Share me? I don't see it like that. But I do. Well, I can't change that, I replied, feeling a bit upset now. If that's how you see it, then yes, you'll have to share me with the memory of my deceased wife. You've always known how much I loved her. If I have to share you, you better pay attention, buddy. Maybe this will help you understand what it means to share a spouse, she declared loudly. I understood that this situation was difficult for her, and perhaps a more diplomatic approach would have been better. However, it was also a sensitive issue for me, and before I could address it further, she abruptly left the table. During lunch, the hotel had arranged a buffet. Rachel headed there, and after some time I decided it was wise to follow her, aiming to talk and diffuse any tension. She was already well ahead of me in the line, where I noticed a tall, attractive man showing clear interest in her. They engaged in conversation. She laughed, he lightly touched her arm, and she reciprocated with a gentle touch. They appeared almost like a content couple. While jealousy wasn't typically my inclination, this situation was disconcerting, causing my pulse to quicken. Was this some sort of retaliation? I observed with mild surprise as they continued to interact amicably. They bantered and served each other food, displaying an almost adolescent giddiness. Once their plates were filled, they selected a small table for two, sending shivers down my spine. What was she thinking? Finally reaching the end of the line, I grabbed a chair from a nearby table and joined theirs. "Hello, I'm Alex, Rachel's fiancé." I introduced myself, extending my hand to him. The jerk didn't even acknowledge my presence, let alone glance my way or shake my hand. I withdrew it, earning a giggle from Rachel. That stung. Damn, she was intentionally trying to hurt me. "Rachel, what are you doing here?" I began to feel seriously irritated. People around us started noticing the situation. It was becoming quite embarrassing, but necessary. Rachel decided to join in on the game of ignoring me completely. They both seemed to find it amusing and continued chatting about trivial matters. I remained at their table out of sheer stubbornness. Retreat wasn't an option, so I endured it, though I felt deeply humiliated. They discussed various topics, their jobs, the hotel, their families. Yet Rachel skillfully avoided any mention of me or our upcoming wedding. "You're such an amazing woman, Rachel. I'm thrilled we met here, and I can't believe you're here all alone. Danny, I find you very attractive too, and I'm glad we got snowed in. I think we'll have a wonderful time here." "Rachel!" I shouted loudly. Now everyone was looking our way, but I didn't care. They still managed to calmly ignore me. Not exactly the most endearing way to treat a soon-to-be husband, I thought as I simmered with anger. Eventually, Rachel leaned across the table and planted a kiss on Danny's lips. Gasps erupted from those around us, a sharp pang of hurt coursing through me. I felt physically wounded, unable to intervene due to my aversion to violence. Retreating wasn't an option either. I couldn't bear to leave them alone. Yet Rachel would face my wrath later. "Rachel, if you want to stay with me, cut out this foolishness," I warned. "Danny, why don't you show me your room? It's too noisy here," Rachel suggested, catching even Danny off guard with her boldness. Predictably, he didn't protest. They departed, leaving me behind in shock. With no other recourse, I slunk back to our room, feeling the weight of the restaurant's gaze bearing down on me, utterly humiliated. I couldn't physically compel Rachel to remain faithful, could I? If she chose to leave, I was powerless. In that moment, I was too overwhelmed to consider the long-term implications. Alone in our room, I futilely attempted to distract myself with a book, consumed by a mix of fury, hurt, sadness, and disappointment. Doubts about our marriage gnawed at me. Eventually, a thought broke through my numbness. I approached Michael, the sympathetic receptionist, requesting Danny's room number. Despite his understanding demeanor, he couldn't disclose it, even if it was 107. I bundled up in warm clothes and circled the perimeter of the hotel. Michael had informed me that room 107 was on the ground floor and visible from outside. Upon locating the room, I was surprised to find the curtains wide open. They were cozied up on the sofa, looking quite at ease with each other. Fortunately, they were fully clothed, though I couldn't help but snap a photo with my phone. As the evening darkened outside, the room lights remained on. Eventually, they noticed me peering in. Rachel initially gasped, then visibly relaxed and gestured towards me. They both waved, smirking, and resumed kissing, seemingly for my benefit. I took another photo before retreating. The sight was too much to bear. I feared their blatant disregard might irreparably harm our relationship. Back in my room, I waited anxiously, feeling like a wreck, unable to focus on anything but my distress. I wished I could be stoic and dismissive, but I still loved her. Later that night, I ventured into the restaurant and spotted them together, looking like a couple deeply immersed in each other's company. I snapped more photos before opting for room service to spare myself further humiliation. I expected her to come to our room after dinner to make up, but my expectation was in vain. By 10 p.m., I visited their room again. Although the curtains were drawn, there were enough cracks to look inside. A dim light illuminated the scene where they were kissing again. I tried to keep my composure, distancing myself from the situation, hoping to take more photos without feeling sick or running away. However, my plan fell apart when I witnessed her start to take off her clothes. It was a slow, sensual dance for him which caused me deep pain, as it was something she had never done for me. After all, she posed for him following his instructions. He pointed to the floor, and she obediently sank down in front of him. Somehow I managed to continue filming even though I was feeling depressed. Despite the biting cold that made me shiver, I documented their entire contact. I left as soon as they were done and cuddled on the couch. I returned to our room, shed a few tears, vented my frustration by punching the bed, then uploaded the photos to my cloud drive before finally managing to drift off with the aid of a sleeping pill. I woke up around 9 in the morning to find Rachel sitting in the chair, observing me quietly. No words were exchanged between us. My anger had dissipated, replaced by a profound sadness. Thoughts of what could have been flooded my mind. She could have been my wife, and we could have had children. But all those possibilities vanished within a few hours. I couldn't detect any remorse in her demeanor. Instead, she appeared strangely content. It made me wonder if she was oblivious to the impact on our future, or simply didn't care. Perhaps breaking us up had been her intention all along, although she could have executed it with less pain. "Feeling any better now?" she inquired. "No," I replied flatly. "I'll be spending the day with Danny and until we can leave. We've already moved my things into his room. Afterward, I'll be back with you. At least until you bring up Julie again." She explained this calmly. "No," I responded in a similarly detached tone. "It's already settled. Try to enjoy your time here." And with that, she simply walked away. I couldn't believe how suddenly she had turned into such an arrogant person. Had she truly changed, or had I always misjudged her so severely? It was clear she didn't intend to end our relationship. She just wanted to make a point. Not acceptable. Yes, maybe I had been a bit careless by mentioning Julie repeatedly, but her reaction was completely disproportionate. I concluded that it was over between us. The dilemma was that I had to remain in the hotel. My instinct urged me to flee, to escape this dreadful situation, my sense of helplessness and embarrassment, and most importantly, Rachel. But there was nothing I could do. I spent some time staring at the wall, my thoughts trapped in a tormenting cycle. No, this was getting me nowhere. Dwelling on it wasn't going to solve anything. It was only damaging my mental well-being. I needed to distract myself until I could leave this mess behind. All right, I might as well go grab something to eat, I decided. As I headed to breakfast, my newfound friend Michael intercepted me. "You shouldn't have to endure this. I've been here for quite some time, so I know the weather patterns well. The roads will only be accessible for a short window today. I estimate that in about an hour or two, you could safely depart by following the supply truck. For safety purposes, we won't disclose this opportunity to the other guests. However, with your 444, you should manage fine. Another storm is forecasted around noon, which will likely block the roads for another 3 to 4 days. As I mentioned, you shouldn't have to go through this. I strongly recommend you leave. he said with genuine empathy. "Thank you, Michael," I replied sincerely, feeling as though he had just rescued me from a dire situation. Each moment spent here was further diminishing my self-esteem. Just having the chance to escape lifted my spirits. I quickly packed my belongings, checked out, and waited in my car for the supply truck to lead the way. It helped clear the path and could assist if I encountered any obstacles. However, I made it to the highway without a hitch. The journey home felt interminable. My mind was still reeling from the recent events, and my mood matched the foul weather outside. One thing was certain: the wedding was off. I would be canceling everything. The myriad of trivial decisions suddenly seemed utterly meaningless. Oddly enough, that realization brought me some solace. No one would ever know if the dessert was truly suitable for a winter wedding. I had chosen to stay in our hometown primarily because of Rachel. Despite receiving much better job offers elsewhere, including one particularly enticing offer in San Francisco, I remained rooted. Rejecting that offer had been painful, but Rachel insisted on staying close to her family, and I acquiesced. Now, with newfound freedom, I could explore if the job was still available. It was almost a relief considering the ordeal I had endured. I felt liberated. Fresh opportunities lay ahead, promising a whole new chapter of life. For the first time, I realized I had narrowly escaped a disaster. I wasn't married yet, so I could walk away without consequence. However, I hadn't proposed to Rachel without reason. I had truly loved her. Yet her actions at the hotel had made leaving surprisingly easy. Just recalling those recent events dispelled any lingering remorse. I knew the pain would come, but for now, I needed to focus on forging my future. Upon returning home, I promptly canceled all arrangements for the wedding. The venue, the caterer, the DJ, everything. I also sent out cards to notify our guests of the cancellation, using neutral language. Regrettably, due to unforeseen circumstances, we must cancel our wedding. While I could have been harsher in my wording, I saw no need to publicize the details. Following this, I called the owner of the San Francisco company and candidly explained my situation. "Alex, come by my office. We'll figure something out for you, and you've got the job regardless. Frankly, I'm relieved your ex acted foolishly," he remarked with a hint of amusement. Internally, I agreed, though I couldn't yet share his humor. However, I did find some solace in the fact that her true colors surfaced early. The pain of losing her was compounded by the circumstances. I resigned from my job, packed my belongings into my car, and departed from our shared apartment. On a whim, I even left a petty gesture in her underwear drawer, though it left me feeling unsatisfied. Childish, I knew. Yet, as I embarked on the 4 or 5 day journey to San Francisco, I found myself strangely anticipating the solitude, the quiet, and the opportunity to reflect on my life. After 2 days of contemplative, enraged, self-blaming, and painful journeying, my phone rang. "Hello, this is Alex." "Alex, sweetheart, it's Rachel. We have mobile network again, thank goodness. The roads will soon be clear too." I remained silent, too shocked to respond. All the pain flooded back. Why had I even answered the call? I had nothing to say to her. Damn. I should have checked the caller ID first. I couldn't believe how composed she sounded. "Alex, are you still there?" "Yes. How are you?" "Not great." "Me neither." "Alex, sweetheart, have you called off the wedding? My parents have been asking." "Yeah, of course. What did you expect? That I would marry you? Seriously?" "Alex, please. I know you're hurt, but please don't make this into a bigger issue. It was just to make you understand the pain of sharing your partner. I'm sorry if it went too far, but I was so hurt and angry about all of this Julie situation. I truly apologize. I wasn't thinking clearly. It was a terrible mistake, but I belong to you alone. Nothing has to change. I'll be faithful from now on." "Maybe, but that man won't be me." "What?" "Alexa, come on. I know you're upset, but it really wasn't a big deal. This person was never significant. I was so angry with you and hurt." Okay, what I did was completely over the top. Let me make it up to you, all right? I don't care how you rationalize this or how you perceive it. All I needed was to make my own decision. And that's what I've done. The outcome is that we're over for good. Should I send some photos to your parents and get their opinion? Alex, I hope I can leave soon. We need to talk. Can you please pick me up here? No. Why not? I don't want to. You're not my responsibility anymore. And I'm not even in the area anymore. Alex, where are you? Please don't make this so difficult for me. Let's see. The sign says Kearney, Nebraska. You're joking? No, I'm heading for California. I'm starting a new life without you. Alex! She was crying now. Please don't leave me. This meant nothing to us. I was just angry, and things got out of control. I'm really sorry. Maybe it meant nothing to you. For me, it's been a complete nightmare. The worst time of my life and the definitive end of our relationship. Alex, please turn around. We can still make this work. No, I don't even want to fix this. You've tormented and publicly embarrassed me for 2 days. This wasn't a sudden mistake. You had plenty of time to think about what you were doing. And you intentionally hurt me and openly betrayed me. Again and again. Publicly. Tried to undermine me. To defeat me. I have no interest in you anymore. None at all. Have a good life. And I hung up. That woman. The phone rang again immediately. I added her number to the ignore list. Finally, I could continue my journey in silence. Unfortunately, my newfound calm was shattered again. I pounded the steering wheel from time to time, unable to decide if I was angry or sad. The silence didn't last long. An hour later, the phone rang again. Alex is listening. Alex, this is Carl, Rachel's father. Hello, Carl. Alex, what's going on? Did you cancel the wedding? Yes, no, in fact, it was Rachel who ruined everything with her behavior during our trip. Alex, it couldn't have been that bad, could it? Let me tell you. She was actively flirting with another man in the restaurant. She ignored me when I tried to interfere when she kissed him in public. She openly stated that she was going to his room with him and continued. I spent the whole night with him. And then she had the audacity to come to my room and say that she would spend the whole weekend with him. The whole hotel was aware. What do you think about it? I find it hard to believe. There must be some kind of misunderstanding. Would you like to see photos of this misunderstanding? I have a lot of them. They kiss in a restaurant. They hug in his room. They are engaged in intimacy in his room. They didn't really hide it. They seemed to like to flaunt it in front of me. There fell a brief moment of quiet. I apologize, Alex, you're correct. She's clearly not ready for marriage. Please accept my daughter's apologies. I hope we can keep in touch. Of course, Carl. I've always held Sue and you in high regard. It would have been wonderful to have you as family. Indeed, it's regrettable. What's your plan now? I'm off to San Francisco. I intend to start afresh there. Best of luck, Alex. You're a decent man. Farewell, Carl. Damn, that call stung again. My future had crumbled in just a few days. I pictured Carl having a serious conversation with Rachel. He wasn't one to mince words. Throughout the remainder of my journey, several friends reached out. I didn't divulge details, but I sensed most had a vague understanding of why Rachel and I parted ways. I assured them I'd share my new address once I had it. Eventually, the calls dwindled, allowing me to focus on beginning anew and leaving the past behind. Easier said than done. Thoughts of Rachel plagued me. Memories of the good times and that dreadful weekend. After spending 2 months in San Francisco, I was interrupted on a Friday evening by the sound of my doorbell. Reluctantly, I answered, half expecting Jehovah's Witnesses, only to find something far worse. Rachel, impeccably dressed and visibly anxious. I promptly shut the door, hoping to avoid her. Despite my efforts, she persisted, but I silenced the doorbell. How had she managed to track me down? Did I need to escape to Bora Bora? It dawned on me that evading her would be futile if she was determined enough. With a sigh, I reluctantly reopened the door, preferring to confront the situation head-on. But she was gone. A relief. The next morning at 9, the doorbell rang again, rousing me from my sleep. Disoriented, I stumbled to the door and found Rachel once more. Without a word, I stepped aside and allowed her to enter, resigned to facing whatever was to come. There was no point in delaying the inevitable conversation. Perhaps this charade would finally reach its conclusion today. Without exchanging words, I made coffee in the kitchen while she silently observed. Handing her a cup, I took one for myself and retreated to the living room, her following suit. We sat in silence, sipping our coffee. She looked good, evidently making an effort to appease me. But it made no difference. My feelings for her had dissipated, bringing a sense of relief. I could now interact with her devoid of any lingering emotions, without vulnerability. "Alex," she finally spoke, her voice strained. It seemed difficult for her. "I'm sorry." I remained silent, not to exacerbate her discomfort, but because there was nothing to say at that moment. "I behaved really badly," they admitted. I simply nodded in response. "And I'm sorry it took me so long to track you down. You can talk about Julie whenever you need to. I'll just have to deal with it." I was feeling incredibly insecure. I doubted your love for me, thinking I was just a replacement for Julie. You kept her photos on the walls, called me your name during intimate moments, even had her picture in your wallet, and constantly brought her up during wedding preparations. Then you planned this romantic getaway to a wellness hotel, but it felt like a recreation of your life with her. It was too much, more than I could handle. I lost control. I'm truly sorry. Rachel, I understand I should have been more considerate when talking about her. I regret it, and I apologize. But that doesn't justify publicly humiliating me or cheating on me. I know. I've agonized over it countless times. We sat in silence, uncertain of what to say next. "How did you manage to find me, anyway?" "I think all our friends had your address, but nobody wanted to betray you. I had to sneakily borrow someone's phone to get it." I felt relieved hearing that. I had good friends. "I've left our apartment and my job. I've rented a place just a block from here, and I'm currently job hunting." I was taken aback, yet it made no difference, and I had no intention of responding. The news didn't sit well with me. It signaled that she would likely continue to pursue me in the future. While it would complicate my life, I believed I had the strength to resist her advances. "Alex, I realize now how terribly I behaved at the hotel, deliberately hurting you in public, humiliating you, and ultimately driving you away. I left you with no choice but to leave me. At first, I couldn't understand why I did it. It's difficult to comprehend because I loved you then, and I still love you now, and only you. I didn't love Danny. He was merely physically attractive, but I didn't have genuine affection for him. I struggled to explain to myself and my parents why I acted as I did. Initially, I tried to justify it as a misguided attempt to teach you about sharing your partner with someone else, but I eventually realized that wasn't entirely true. I knew from the beginning that I would hurt you. So, what was the real reason? My father suggested that I was simply jealous of a deceased woman. You always portrayed Julie to me as flawless. In your eyes, she was the epitome of beauty and female perfection, without a single flaw or disagreement. She was placed on such a high pedestal that I felt inadequate in comparison. I was even hesitant to accept your proposal because of it, despite it being my greatest dream. Rachel, I'm truly sorry. Of course, Julie had her imperfections and we had our disagreements. But after her passing, I chose to overlook those aspects, out of respect for her memory. I apologize if I misrepresented her to you. You were more than capable of competing with her. I loved you just as deeply as I loved her." "Oh, Alex," she sobbed on the verge of throwing herself into my arms. Wait a moment. When I said you could rival her, I was referring to the past. At the present moment, you can't, because something has greatly tarnished my perception of you. Alex, please give me an opportunity to regain your trust, to make amends somehow. Maybe I can simply be around you until you feel comfortable again. I'll be patient. You can even praise Julie if you want. I'll learn to accept it. I'm not sure. It's not that simple. I'll dedicate my time to winning you back in any way possible, no matter how long it takes. Rachel, that was quite a moving speech. I trust you. Thank you for even talking to me again. She seemed uncertain about what my neutral response meant for her. No problem. I'm surprised by how composed I feel about it today. Sorry for yesterday. My reaction was impolite. I was caught off guard. Don't worry, Alex. How do you feel about me? I still love you, only you. I haven't been with anyone else since that night. And I've only been intimate with him once. I'm fairly indifferent now. I think I've mostly moved on from you. You're not angry anymore? No. But I also don't love you anymore. She recoiled for a moment, but then pulled herself together. It's unfortunate, but it won't stop me. It could have been worse. You've fallen in love with me before, maybe it'll happen again. And this time I will treat you much better. Rachel, I may seem calm towards you right now, but I also can't figure out how I can trust you again. Yes, I may have done something wrong, but your reaction was completely disproportionate. I've always been waiting for someone else to challenge me. What would you do if I forgot to take out the trash all the time, hired a hitman, starred in a provocative video? Restoring trust in you is not even in my plans right now. You can trust me. I will never make such a stupid mistake again. And if we ever make up, we'll have a contract. If you leave me for any reason, I will have nothing. No money, no access to our children. The same thing, if I left you, you'd get everything. But in any case, it is unlikely. Children? I couldn't help but laugh. Yeah. In the unlikely event that we reconcile, I want children. Here's the contract. Surprised that she had already prepared some kind of project, I read it and immediately realized how strict it was. She won't get anything if our paths part for any reason, not even custody rights or dates with potential children. I assumed that it probably doesn't even have legal force. Did Carl write this? Yes, is it that obvious? He's really laid it out for you, I assume. Yes, and Mom too, and most of our friends. They all seem to have at least a vague idea about what's happened. I don't know how. Not from me. I've only informed Carl about it. I know. Keep the contract. It's already signed. You don't need to sign it. Just put it in a safe place. Okay, just to honor Carl's effort. But I wouldn't want to be with you because a contract binds us. And the main issue remains. I don't love you anymore. I don't trust you anymore. I'm not even sure if I like you anymore. The last statement surprised her a little. Not even like me? Well, I guess I understand. I've hurt you badly, even cruelly, for no good reason. Alex, how about this? Show me around San Francisco. I'm new here. This way you can test me out just by spending some time with me. Let's just be friends. So, there it was. Did I want to avoid her? Would it seem like I was running away from her? That would be a sign of weakness. No, I resolved to cultivate a friendly relationship with her. Despite what I had said, I had to admit that I still liked her and didn't want to feel like a coward by avoiding her. Plus, I had no friends here, so some company would be welcome. It would also be a good test to prove to myself that I was over her, to spend time with her without falling in love again. I'm not very familiar with San Francisco either, but I can show you the few places I do know. Thank you, Alex. But first, I'm going to make breakfast. She went into the kitchen, humming and singing. She might have been a bit too confident, I thought. But that wasn't my concern. I didn't mind her presence anymore, but I also couldn't see us getting back together. It just wasn't tempting, contract or not. In the weeks that followed, she enthusiastically sought out opportunities to spend time with me. As a result, communication bordered on the absurd. She usually dressed in revealing clothes and made physical contact whenever possible. Once, when we were in my kitchen, she was wearing a very loose t-shirt, and she was deliberately trying to lean forward. I wasn't interested in watching. However, I played along with her. With a hidden smile, I tried not to look at her, looking away. A few days later, back at my house, she tried a different approach. By choosing shorts. Paired with sky-high heels, she spent the day rummaging through her clothes, bending over and straightening her legs. "You seem to be looking for something, Rachel. Can I help you with something?" "What?" "Oh, no, I'm fine. I just thought I'd lost my earring here somewhere." "I understand." I had to stifle my laughter again. The next day when we went shopping, she was incredibly affectionate with me. It didn't seem like a minute went by without her touching me. Despite this, I chose to pretend to be ignorant. It was funny to me, but I could tell Rachel was upset about it. She clearly desired me, but I constantly rejected her advances. It probably started to undermine her self-esteem. I didn't want to hurt her, but I wasn't going to sleep with her just to gratify her ego. She decided to fix it quickly to get me back, and if it doesn't work, it's none of my business. I sympathized with her, but giving in would have been much worse. It would only have given rise to false hope. Our relationship was over, and nothing would have changed that. Naturally, she was unhappy with this outcome, but she was smart enough not to voice her displeasure and not jeopardize our fragile newfound friendship. A few weeks later, Rachel and I were sitting in my living room. By that time, the attacks had subsided somewhat. "Alex, when are you going to make love to me again?" "What is it?" she asked sharply. "What?" I knew from the very beginning that this was her wish. However, her direct question caught me off guard. She should have known about the reasons. "You can have me, of course you understand that. Just for your own pleasure, without any conditions. Just intimacy, without emotional attachment." Rachel, I'm not sure." She got up and knelt in front of me. "Please, I'm ready to beg if necessary." I didn't know how to politely refuse her. She was undeniably beautiful. If she wasn't Rachel, I would have gladly agreed. But, unfortunately, it was Rachel. The same Rachel who coldly informed me, "It's already been decided. Try to have fun here." She took advantage of my bewildered state to slip out of her jeans. It wasn't entirely surprising to discover a similar inscription on the front of her underwear. The back was just a thin string, no space for any message. Whoa. Nice, right? Yeah. My responses were sluggish. Most of my blood seemed to have abandoned my brain. "I've bought 20 sets of these. I plan on wearing them all the time. Only you will see the underwear, obviously. But I'll proudly display the t-shirt to everyone else." "Well, technically, I know. It's not entirely true. But I want to declare my intentions. Rachel, things between us might be more complicated. I know, I can't just escape like that. But I wanted to show you my dedication and fend off competition. Still, I need your approval to wear this in public. If I agree, it means taking you back." "Yes." Her eyes brightened and I felt sorry for her. But there was nothing I could do. "That's not possible. Let's just stay friends, okay?" Her expression shifted instantly, her eyes glistening with tears. Yet she tried to appear strong. "All right, Alex. I'll accommodate your needs. I regret bringing it up. I didn't mean to pressure you." "I apologize too, Rachel. It's surprising to me that we can spend time together casually again, but that's as far as I'm willing to go." "I understand." She seemed really disappointed. Her expression dropped noticeably. "Alex, I have the time. I don't have any other plans for the foreseeable future. I'll keep trying to win you back." I just sighed. I couldn't think of a suitable response. I didn't want to hurt her, seek revenge, or hold her back from moving on by clinging to a dead relationship with Alex. But I also didn't know how to dissuade her from holding on to hope. And that's how we lived for several months. Rachel clearly desired more, but tactfully refrained from exerting any pressure. Her expectations were evidently high, yet I was firmly committed to avoiding any genuine relationship with her. I even explicitly communicated that to her, but it didn't appear to diminish her efforts. Then my life took another unexpected turn. Returning home late one night, I was irritated to discover that the damn light wasn't working again. As I navigated through the near darkness, my foot accidentally collided with something soft. Berating myself for not considering this earlier, I resorted to using my phone as a flashlight. There lay a petite woman curled up on the cold floor. "Apologies, I didn't mean to bump into you." Not the most brilliant response, but what else could I say? No response. "Hello? Hello?" Still no response. What now? Leaving her there on the cold concrete floor wasn't an option, was it? With no better plan, I carried her and her small backpack into my apartment. I was surprised by how incredibly light she was. Despite appearing dirty beneath her long, unkempt blonde hair, I glimpsed a beautiful face. She seemed to be in good health, but deeply asleep. So I decided to place her in the guest bedroom, covered her with blankets, and retired to bed myself. In hindsight, my actions may have been a bit peculiar, but I was utterly exhausted at the time, and in my foggy state of mind, it seemed like the best course of action. I woke up feeling disoriented in the dark, which was unusual since I usually slept until the alarm clock woke me up. This time, however, it wasn't the alarm clock that woke me up, but rather a feeling, well, let's just say there was an unexpected feeling downstairs. Surprisingly, it was quite pleasant, especially after sleeping. Before I could fully comprehend what was happening, the sensations changed. They were still pleasant, but different. Instead of speaking out, I was enjoying the moment. As suddenly as it began, it ended, and she disappeared into the darkness without saying a word. I briefly questioned her humanity, given her seemingly nocturnal abilities, before falling back into sleep, wondering if the whole thing was a strange dream. The next morning, I heard her humming softly in the shower. Soon after, she appeared in the kitchen while I was making breakfast. She was extremely thin, thinner than I prefer, but she had a beautiful face and a pleasant smile. The atmosphere seemed tense to me, although she seemed quite relaxed, devouring my food supplies while humming to herself. We exchanged a few words without saying a word about the previous night. Eventually, she got up, retired to the guest bedroom, dressed, and headed for the front door. My mind was lagging behind the unfolding events. "Thank you. You are really very kind," she said, before disappearing from my life as quickly as she appeared in it. What was that? Did I become sluggish, or did events just unfold rapidly? It dawned on me that I'd entered into an intimate relationship with a woman without even knowing her name, which was completely out of character for me. Am I turning into some kind of promiscuous man? No, I still had the excuse that I was being taken advantage of in a state of fatigue and drowsiness. After examining the guest bedroom, I found it immaculate. However, while emptying the trash out of the trash can, I found a needle that sent goosebumps down my spine. Oh no, I get it. I have just entered into an intimate relationship with an addicted woman, unprotected. What have I done? A spontaneous visit to the doctor did not reveal STDs that could be detected immediately. However, some analyses will take time. I decided to think about it before getting involved in the future. It was for sure. Rachel persisted with her efforts, but I remained adamant about staying just friends, much to her frustration. I couldn't bear the thought of being vulnerable to her again, especially after what happened at that dreadful hotel. While Rachel may have had a different perspective, she knew well who was responsible for the rift and understood that pushing too hard would only drive me away. So wisely, she refrained from pushing topics like marriage, children, or settling down too aggressively. Despite this, we both cherished the time spent together. Though I still found her physically appealing, the intense love I once felt, now felt like a distant memory. A few months later, we found ourselves in my apartment, just about to sit down for dinner when the doorbell chimed. "I'll get it," Rachel exclaimed, springing up. This ritual held significant importance for her. She always insisted on answering the door and the phone. It was her way of marking her territory, affirming her status as my partner. While I viewed things differently, I saw no reason to elaborate. I knew I was using her in some capacity, keeping her close for companionship. She hoped for more, though I never explicitly dashed her hopes. It was evident that she likely suspected the truth and endured considerable pain. Yet her determination never waned. Even after all these months, her persistence baffled me. She was stunning and could have a better relationship with anyone else. Still, she obstinately pursued me. Shaking off my reverie, I turned to find my enigmatic acquaintance standing at the door. She appeared as gaunt as ever, save for one notable difference: her disproportionately large belly. Rachel seemed slightly taken aback, though I had never discussed the incident with her. It was clear she understood the implications of the woman's visit and condition. "Please come in," she offered calmly. "Join us for dinner. My name is Rachel." "Annie." With no further words exchanged, Annie took her place at the table and eagerly began to eat once more. Chewing, she managed to say, "I'm pregnant." We already suspected this. The most interesting thing was ahead. "This is yours," she confirmed, pointing at me with a fork that still had a piece of steak impaled on it. I studied its texture carefully, doing anything to distract myself from what was going to happen next. "You're the only one I've been intimate with without protection," she added, casually continuing to eat, as if discussing the weather. The whole situation seemed surreal. "Really, the only one?" "It's hard to believe," I retorted, already defending myself like a man and hating myself for it. "Nevertheless, it's true. But don't worry. I want to find a solution that suits everyone. I like you, and I don't want any trouble. Besides, I don't even know your name." She chuckled. Her behavior was strangely sweet. I'm Alex." "I'm Anna. It was nice spending the night with you." Laughter filled the air, and even Rachel joined in. Annie was undeniably sweet in her own way. "Alex, did you spend the night with her without even knowing her name?" Rachel's tone was carefree, and her calm and accepting demeanor surprised me. "Yes, it looks like it." Shouldn't I be at least a little ashamed now? I didn't care. It happened. "And now what? Are you thinking about terminating your pregnancy?" "No, that's not an option anymore. I might have thought of this when it was just a cluster of cells. But now, Alex, I've seen her. I've seen the ultrasound scans. We're talking about a person. It's just impossible. I can't terminate the pregnancy. She's my daughter." I just nodded. I could sympathize with that. Rachel's unexpected reaction left me stunned. "No problem, we'll adopt," she said cheerfully. "What?" I exclaimed, dropping my fork in surprise. It was just the latest twist in a series of shocks tonight, and my mind struggled to keep up with the sudden changes. "Stop, Alex, this is a matter for women. It should have been my baby anyway if I hadn't messed things up," Rachel asserted. "Hey," I interjected, "I think I should have a say in this too." But my opinion was largely ignored. Rachel had already taken charge, and to be honest, I felt relieved. I had no idea how to handle the situation. "You're addicted to illegal substances, right?" How did she know? "Yes." "And you sleep for money?" "Yes, but always with protection." "I am healthy, and this helps me establish paternity. I still don't know why I didn't defend myself with Alex. I think I was shocked by his kindness. No one has ever helped me like this before," Annie confessed. "Always with protection. That's what's kept me alive," I thought, berating myself for my recklessness. Okay, but you can't raise a child while you're using, Rachel stated firmly. I'm not sure. But, in any case, you cannot continue to be addicted to illegal substances during pregnancy. It can harm the child, Rachel insisted. Yeah, you're right. The problem is, I've been hooked on heroin for a long time. You can't just stop cold turkey. I've tried, but I might not be able to, even for my baby's sake. I'm scared. I don't know if I can do it. My life is a mess, Annie confessed, her previous optimism replaced by despair, Rachel's concern evident. And I felt overwhelmed. Just like mine. In any case, Alex will be obligated to keep you away from illegal substances. He's the father, after all. You'll stay here and he'll make sure you stay clean during your pregnancy. I'll be in the background while you detox. Then I'll adopt the child, and you'll be free to do as you wish. Rachel's readiness to take in the child to resolve my dilemma, to make things right, and to win me back impressed me. However, I wasn't exactly thrilled about being pulled into a relationship with her in this manner. Anna was just as contemplative as I was, but she reached a conclusion faster than I did. You're probably right about the banned substances. I couldn't forgive myself if I put my baby at risk. I've already hurt myself plenty. She shouldn't have to suffer, Anna admitted. All right, do we have a deal? Rachel extended her hand. Yeah, Anna accepted, sealing my fate. Naturally, I, being a man, promptly got up to clear the dishes. Meanwhile, the women were hashing out their plan and my future. Honestly, I was relieved. I didn't have the mental capacity at the moment to make weighty decisions. Anna was instructed to sleep in the guest bedroom while Rachel made herself at home in my apartment during the day whenever possible. I wasn't sure how to address Rachel's assumption that we would get back together, so I kept quiet for the time being. I had messed things up with Annie, and I was just grateful that Rachel was helping me out. The next morning, we moved Anna's belongings from her previous, let's say, less than desirable living situation to my place. Anna's former apartment was not a place where I would ever consider parking my car. Your life was really rough, huh? I asked her. Was? That sounds like it's going to change. Yes, it was rough, and it's about to get even worse. I'm not that bad, am I? You ever heard of going cold turkey? You're not talking about the food, are you? Very funny, she said seriously. No, just look it up, okay? And then get ready to clear out your guest bedroom because I'll be climbing the wall soon. Expect a lot of vomiting. So yeah, my life was rough and it's going to be hell. I just hope my daughter will appreciate it one day. Our daughter. What, really? Suddenly, this tough girl seemed to well up with tears. Our daughter. You're not alone in this. We've gone through it together, quite literally. Oh, Alex, thank you. She hugged me tightly while Rachel watched warily. Do you have any vacation time left? I can take unpaid leave. How long? 2 weeks, I think. The first 3 days will be the worst. What should I expect? Only good things. You'll really get to know my less than charming side. I'll have diarrhea, vomit a lot, sweat profusely, shake uncontrollably, yell at you, try to scratch your eyes out, try to escape. Most of all, I'll hate you. Lovely. That's exactly what happened. Twice she almost slipped away from me when I changed her ship. As a result, I got off with numerous scratches and bruises. The room needed to be completely renovated. She was constantly yelling at me, and I was glad that no one called the police. But we managed to hold out for the first 3 days. So I was sitting on the floor by her bed, completely exhausted, looking at the mess, and wondering what I'd gotten myself into. When I tried to wipe her hair with a clean cloth, it dawned on me that this was not a noble act that someone would remember fondly. I certainly didn't feel like a knight in shining armor. I was just a dirty, exhausted, depressed guy helping a frail, trembling, anorexic woman whom I inadvertently knocked up. The whole process was humiliating, repulsive, and extremely depressing. And I was incredibly tired. Her sleep pattern was extremely erratic, and therefore so was mine. A short while later, she was back on her feet, pacing the apartment with restlessness akin to a caged tiger. I've passed the worst of it now. I just need some time alone now that I'm clean. I'm going for a short walk. See you. I lingered by the door. Alex, I'm fine now. Really. I just need some space, she insisted. No, Anna. 2 weeks. Then you can leave, I replied firmly. Alex, let me go, she suddenly cried out. Not happening, Anna. Alex, please, I need it, just something to ease the pain, she pleaded, her tone shifting quickly. Anna, come on, let's get you something to eat, okay? Okay. Her tone suddenly compliant, almost deceiving. A few seconds later, she attempted to dash for the door, but fortunately didn't manage to open it. It wasn't even locked, but pushing would have been easier than pulling. I made a mental note to keep it locked thereafter. Even in her disturbed state, it seemed safer that way. After a few days, the patient's condition improved significantly. Her eyes were clear again, and she seemed to have regained some composure. The increased sweating and trembling stopped. Despite the fact that she was still noticeably losing weight, her appearance improved significantly. Her hair stopped being disheveled, and her skin lost its former shine. However, the disturbing event was her newfound stickiness and emotional instability, which, in my opinion, were somewhat exhausting. It was unclear if her behavior was caused by pregnancy or something else, but she began to constantly touch me, hug, and kiss me, interspersed with fits of sobbing or laughing. I involuntarily succumbed to her emotional fluctuations. Her sadness affected me, her stupidities caused my concern, and her obsession was strangely pleasant. And when her mood turned amorous, it inevitably led us to bed. I consoled myself with the thought that she would no longer be able to get pregnant. Surprisingly, it was not like communicating with a worker. She behaved shyly and even cried after that, clinging to me like a burdock. Strangely enough, I didn't mind at all. Afterward, as we sat on the bed, I felt content yet still somewhat surprised. You don't despise me as much now, do you? I remarked. Don't get too comfortable, mister. That was just my less hostile side. Wait until you witness my kindness. But honestly, I think I've overcome my inner struggles and can think clearly now. No, I don't harbor as much resentment towards you anymore. Truth is, I never really did. You've been trying to help me and our child, and for that, I'm grateful, she said, her smile coy. She possessed a certain charm and seemed to grow more attractive by the day. If this trend continued, I'd need to fend off admirers with a stick. Wait, why did I feel the need to protect her? Did I truly see her as mine in some way? I resolved to procrastinate dealing with this issue for now. In the weeks that followed, the atmosphere in the Spencer household became notably laid back. Annie and I grew incredibly comfortable with each other. Strange as it may sound, the experiences of being vomited on and shouted at seemed to create a strong bond between us. Shedding the role of the prison guard certainly contributed to this newfound closeness. Each day brought us closer, filled with laughter and intimate moments. I couldn't help but notice a few glances directed my way, perhaps tinged with longing. Honestly, I found myself looking at her in much the same way. Rachel continued to visit us regularly, keeping a close eye on our interactions. She didn't miss the subtle shifts. Alex, there's nothing romantic developing between you two, is there? I'm not certain, Rachel. We're certainly becoming closer. Her expression turned pained. Alex, please don't do this to me. I feel like I'm on the brink of winning you back. Don't let me lose you to that addict, okay? Rachel, you know that? Yes. Yes, I understand. I don't have any ownership over you. You can do as you please, but you must realize I still have hope. Alex, I'll keep fighting for you. I won't give up even if it takes years. I simply sighed and dropped the subject as Annie entered the room. I knew it was tough for Rachel, but I had accepted Anna as my partner and was committed to her. Anna and I became even closer when I made sure that she was not addicted to illegal substances, accompanied her to various receptions, stocked up on everything necessary for the child, and performed all the usual preparations that future parents make. We behaved like any ordinary couple, and to me, that's exactly what we were. After our daughter Mel was born, everything became even more evident. Anna, Mel, and I formed a family, without question. The idea of giving Mel up for adoption seemed ludicrous by then. We were keeping her, no doubt about it. Rachel picked up on all of this during her frequent visits. "Alex, I've lost you for good, haven't I?" "Yes, Rachel. What we had is over." "Alex, please," she began to cry. "This isn't fair. I know I screwed things up royally this weekend, but I've genuinely tried to make amends. Doesn't that count for anything? I'm not sure if fairness enters into it. You had me all to yourself. Then you tore us apart for no good reason. That meant we were both free to pursue other relationships, and that's exactly what happened. It's not about fairness, and it wasn't intentional. There's no set price for what you did during that wellness weekend. You dropped a bomb on us, and you never know which way the fallout will go. For me, it led to Annie. Alex." She was openly sobbing now. I went to her and embraced her. "Rachel, you're still young and beautiful. Go, find the right man for you, and don't make the same mistake again, okay?" "No. Alex, I'll wait for you." "No, don't. There's nothing you can do about it." I just sighed. She was right. If she chose to ruin her life, it was a shame. But there was nothing I could do. That's how it ended with Rachel. It was a sad conclusion, because I once loved her, and our relationship could have been wonderful. However, these feelings dissipated and our bond deteriorated. I found myself attracted to Anna. In fact, to be honest, I was already head over heels in love with her. I admired her clumsiness, innocence, and charm, as well as her sweet face and unwavering devotion to me. She practically idolized me, which was a stark contrast to Rachel. What set Anna apart from the others was the level of my trust in her, which seemed unusual to me. I trusted this man who used to lead a destructive lifestyle, much more than I could ever trust my ex-wife, who had a short attack of instability. In the following years, we had a modest civil wedding, took care of Mel, experienced Rachel's periodic absences, fortunately, and, fortunately, did not encounter recurring problems with illegal substances. Life with Anna had its challenges, notably her occasional severe mood swings, but having known her well by then, I found ways to handle it. Our profound and mutual love certainly played a significant role. Mel, our daughter, was simply amazing. She was my pride and joy, and I happily indulged her every whim. The end came shortly after Mel's second birthday. I had just put Mel to bed while Anna was still out in town shopping. Mel had exhausted me once again, and I collapsed onto the sofa, looking forward to mindlessly watching TV. As always, the doorbell rang just as I sank into the sofa. Reluctantly, I got up to answer it. Opening the door, I found 2 police officers standing there. "Good evening. How can I assist you?" "Good evening, Mr. Spencer. I'm Sergeant Jacobs. Are you married to Anna Spencer?" "Yes, what's the matter?" I suddenly felt anxious. "Mr. Spencer, I regret to inform you that we found your wife deceased. Could you please come with us?" I couldn't hear the rest. I just collapsed to the floor. I had kissed her goodbye only 2 hours ago. Was that the last time I or Mel would see her alive? She wouldn't return? No more laughter? No more kisses? No more hearing her swear when she stubbed her toe? No more clinging to my neck? No more smelling her? "Annie, where are you now? What happened? Why?" I was shaken by a police officer sometime later. "Mr. Spencer, are you okay? Should we call an ambulance?" "What? No, there's no need." It emerged that she had succumbed to a massive heroin overdose. I had no inkling that she was still involved with it. One of the policemen told me that he knew her. In a rude, indifferent manner, he told her that she was engaged in illegal activities on a part-time basis. He also knew that she was an experienced addict for making such a fatal mistake in dosage. The amount would have been lethal, even for an elephant. They were fairly certain it was a suicide. I was stunned. I had no clue. It dawned on me that I barely knew this woman. She had been leading a double life. For several days, I was completely shattered, unable to function at work and barely able to care for my daughter Mel. A week after Annie's passing, I found myself back on the sofa, staring blankly at the TV, occasionally shedding tears, overwhelmed by sadness and feeling utterly incapable of managing both the emotional and practical aspects of my situation. Mel, my daughter, was crying too, as had become the norm. Losing Annie had not only devastated me emotionally, but also brought about practical challenges. With my vacation time dwindling rapidly, the impending return to work loomed over me. How would I care for Mel without any family nearby to rely on? The thought of hiring a nanny crossed my mind. Could I really trust someone again? It seemed like most of the people I'd placed my trust in had betrayed me in some way. Even Annie, in her gentle but deceptive manner, hid that she was a girl of easy virtue and was addicted to illegal substances while I was away. She left us without a word, without explanation. Ding dong. Perhaps channeling my sadness into anger was the solution. But no, that felt cheap. Annie likely had her reasons. She was likely battling her own demons, too weak to overcome her addiction. Ding dong. Perhaps she was coerced or simply lost hope for change. Her decision to leave Mel behind must have been an act of desperation. No, anger wasn't fitting. Annie was a kind soul, simply too fragile for this world. Ding dong. I became aware that my doorbell had been ringing for quite some time. Oh no, I should probably do something about that, shouldn't I? Ding dong. Mel was also crying. What could I do? I had just attempted to feed her and utterly failed at soothing her to sleep afterward. I felt incapable of handling this situation alone. My new responsibilities overwhelmed me. Ding dong. All right, what now? Attend to the door or comfort Mel? I felt clueless about how to handle Mel anyway. Conversely, addressing the door offered a clear action plan. Approach it, open it, see who's there. I could manage that. So I did. And instantly regretted it. No, please. I didn't need any more complications in my life. It was tough enough already. Not Rachel, please. No, was all I could muster. Boy, you look awful. I'm so sorry, Alex. It must have been awful. She embraced me for a moment. Strangely, I felt nothing. 2 years was a significant amount of time, certainly. But this was the woman I nearly married, the one who betrayed me in the worst possible manner. Wasn't I supposed to feel some emotion upon seeing her after all these years? I felt guilty and indifferent about it, but perhaps I was just emotionally drained. She didn't appear to notice or care. She eventually released me and carried the large bag she had brought with her past me into Mel's room. Hey! I shut the door behind me and followed her quietly, too exhausted to intervene. She lifted Mel from her crib, swaying gently as she hummed a soft melody. I was impressed. Mel seemed to relax in her arms. Eventually, Mel appeared completely at ease, which astonished me. Rachel carefully returned her to the crib, tucking her in before heading to the kitchen, as if she owned the place, to unpack her bags and start preparing food for Mel. How do you... I've researched it extensively. What? When? After Anna's passing. I knew you'd need help, Alex. She spoke matter-of-factly while continuing her tasks, yet her frequent glances my way betrayed her true state of mind. You still live nearby? Yes, I never left. And to address your inquiries, no, I'm not seeing anyone. Yes, I've been keeping an eye on you, and no, I haven't been with anyone since that disastrous weekend that tore my life apart. She turned to face me, tears welling in her eyes as she hastily left the room. I followed her into Mel's room, observing as she tenderly cared for her. How come Mel wasn't crying anymore? Whenever I attempted this, the whole neighborhood needed earplugs afterward. What's your plan? Alex, I'll take care of you. I'll always be here for you. Always. I stayed in the background to respect your marriage, but now that you're in trouble, I have to step in. Her words were impactful. It was clear she had committed herself to supporting me, a deeply humbling realization. Was it love, or was it guilt? Could someone act this way solely out of guilt? Endure 2 years of waiting and then immediately leap into action to help? Those 2 years must have been agony for her, watching me with another woman. Be careful? What do you mean? I've resigned from my job. You did what? How else could I ensure the well-being of you and Mel? You both need a full-time caregiver, and so does Mel. Rachel smiled, and I found myself chuckling, perhaps for the first time in a while. You might have a point. Have you had anything to eat? Oh, since when? Since her passing? Oh, I can't recall. I might have. All right, Mel is satisfied. Now it's your turn. You did what? Just relax on the sofa, okay? Okay. And that's what I did. I realized how grateful I was. Simply having someone there to converse with and alleviate the loneliness and helplessness was a tremendous comfort. I heard her bustling with pots and pans, preparing something to eat. After a while, she returned. Are you feeling better? Yeah, less alone. And you're right. I need a nanny. Thank you. But what about your job? Alex, I haven't really had a life for 2 years now. I didn't go out, I hardly bought anything, I just lived in my small apartment. The only thing I spent money on was the gym. You? At a gym? Yes, I wanted to improve my appearance. Well, I'll explain that later. Yeah, I can see that now. You look really good. Thanks. Anyway, I saved a lot of money for a situation like this. So right now I can survive for almost a year without having to work. I think we will have figured out how to proceed by then. Oh. Yeah, that was my reaction. Talk about feeling like driftwood and not knowing what to do or say. Yes, so I'll take care of you. In a year you'll figure out what to do with your life. Maybe you'll have found a new woman. Maybe you'll consider other options. She smiled a little. Oh, I need to take care of our dinner. Dinner was delicious, and I thanked her profusely again. Afterwards, I just had a strong urge to fall into my bed and sleep for at least a week. Oh no, mister. You're not going to bed without a shower. And brush your teeth, okay? Yes, Mom. Which earned me a slight punch in the ribs. But I knew she was right. Personal hygiene hadn't been high on my priority list recently. As I emerged from the shower, I found my bed freshly made. Anna had been the last one to make it, I sadly realized. I nestled under the blankets, watched over by a kindly smiling Rachel, and thought about Anna. I couldn't shake the feeling that our love might have been a complete illusion. Could you love someone you only knew partially? Had I loved only parts of her? She obviously didn't trust or love me enough to fully open herself to me. Soon after I woke up, I was surprised to see breakfast waiting for me on my bedside table. Even more astonishing was the fact that I had slept through the entire night, something that hadn't happened since Annie passed away. How had Rachel managed to keep Mel quiet for so long? I realized she was not only determined to better my life, but also quite capable of it. I decided to indulge in the breakfast offered, enjoying the feeling of having something substantial to eat again. Eventually, Rachel entered the room, humming cheerfully while carrying a sleeping Mel. She made it all seem effortless, I thought. Could a child really fill the void left by a mother so swiftly? One thing was clear. I couldn't replace Annie like this. I still hadn't fully processed her death and the revelation of her double life, and it still pained me deeply. I was grateful for Rachel's assistance, but I was far from forming a strong bond with her. Feeling any better? Rachel asked. Physically, yes, thanks to you. But emotionally, I'm still struggling. I can't comprehend how all of this could happen. You're referring to Annie's death? Mel remained peacefully asleep, undisturbed by our conversation, adding another layer of mystery to the situation. I mean everything that has transpired in my life, to be honest. Our weekend getaway, your betrayal, Annie suddenly appearing in my life, becoming a father overnight, Annie's passing, and you moving in here. I feel like I'm drifting aimlessly, pushed around by circumstances but never truly in control of my own life. Alex, if you want me to leave, I will. I'd be disappointed, but I don't want to overstay my welcome. No, that's not what I meant. You're helping me a great deal. Please stay. She simply smiled, nodded, and left me to my thoughts. I couldn't help but notice a tear glistening in her eye as she departed, leaving me with a sense of unease. A few days later, I resumed my work, confident that Rachel had seamlessly assumed control of my household. She appeared to relish the responsibility and managed it flawlessly, attending to all tasks, even my emotional ups and downs, while also giving me space when necessary. She never made any romantic advances, which I valued, yet she offered comforting hugs during moments of distress. Selfless, nurturing, and empathetic, she proved to be the most supportive friend I've ever had during this challenging time. In summary, she was truly exceptional. Alex, I need to go see my parents this weekend. They need my help. It's been nearly 2 months since Annie passed away. Do you think you'll be okay on your own for a few days? Could I handle it? Most likely. I felt stronger and more stable again. But did I want to? No. It dawned on me suddenly. The idea of her leaving for a few days just didn't sit right with me, not because of practical reasons, but because I craved her presence. No, I needed it. This realization caught me off guard, leaving me speechless. She looked at me with a puzzled expression, then a broad smile spread across her face. Yes, 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 she exclaimed, pumping her fist in the air. Woohoo! She jumped into my arms and held onto my neck tightly. I was still bewildered, but I had made up my mind. There was no point in denying it any longer. I still harbored some love for her. It had just been dormant beneath all the pain and stress. Emboldened, she planted the first genuine kiss on me in years, and to my surprise, it felt right. Was she still the one for me? Had she always been? What about Annie? Was she merely a replacement? Or was Rachel now just a stand-in? Did it really matter as long as it felt right? Probably not. She released her grip on my neck and began pulling me towards the bedroom, expressing bursts of joy. I found myself smiling widely as well, feeling suddenly at ease with the world. The subsequent intimacy was a bit awkward, but neither of us minded. We were simply happy to be together again, holding on to each other for a long time afterward, her tears dampening my chest. Just promise you won't hurt me again, okay? Never, Alex. Never again. We've both endured the consequences of my mistakes, but it wasn't all in vain. We have a beautiful daughter, and you'll have a better version of Rachel than I could have been. I promise to be the best friend you've ever had. Good. So it's settled then? You'll visit your parents for the weekend, but not a moment longer, and from now on, this is our bedroom again. The 3 of us will be a family. That's as far as I got before she interrupted me with a big kiss, which was perfectly fine with me. Following this rather unexpected turn of events, we settled into the rhythm of a typical small family. Marriage was never discussed, nor were any plans for additional children. Mel naturally referred to Rachel as Mummy. We had decided not to disclose the truth to her until she reached 18, perhaps even later. There seemed to be no necessity. We were content with our current situation. Alex, you know how much I love Mel, don't you? This statement caught me off guard. We were seated on the sofa, Mel peacefully asleep. Everything seemed fine. Why did she choose this moment to ask such a profound question? Of course, I replied, waiting for more to follow. There was clearly more to this conversation. I love her as if she were my own child. I understand, and I'm truly grateful that you do. Yes, but someday I would also like to have a child of our own. I've always envied Annie for that. I pondered this for a moment. Well, why don't you? After all, she was already staying at home to care for Mel. We had long ago combined our finances and relied solely on my income. What? To my surprise, she responded with a wave of emotion, springing up and gazing at me with tears welling in her eyes. She seemed almost alarmed. What was happening here? Why shouldn't we have another child if she desired it? I was a bit perplexed by her intense reaction because I couldn't see any issue. After all, we were already living as a family. Well, what's troubling you, Rachel? Do you really trust me enough to have a child with me? It was a valid question. Did I? Yes, without hesitation. I realized that my trust in her was unwavering. She had consistently proven herself in the past. Yes, I do. Oh, Alex. And there she was again, Rachel, wearing her heart on her sleeve. She held on to me tightly, tears streaming down her face. I was still somewhat puzzled by her reaction, but it was undeniably comforting. Thank you, Alex. Rachel, just relax. I appreciate you discussing this with me instead of trying to deceive me by… No, she cut me off. I would never do that. Yeah, I know. And I genuinely did. Anyway, let's go ahead if you're ready. How many are you thinking of? Let's start with 1. I need to flush the pill out of my system, but we can start trying right away. And that's exactly what we did. Our dinner was over. Today I had insisted on cooking and went all out. Candles, a white tablecloth, 3 courses. Rachel was pleasantly surprised but grew a bit nervous during the meal. It wasn't something I typically did, and she was starting to get suspicious. If I wanted to maintain the surprise, I needed to act soon. So I circled the table and dropped to one knee, causing her jaw to plummet like a stone. I fumbled in my pocket. Rachel. Yes. Will you? Yes. Yes, Alex. Woohoo. Alex, of course I will. Mary. And I was silenced by a massive kiss as I tumbled backward under her pregnant body. Thank you, Rachel. Are you serious? You're thanking me? I owe you thanks, and I'll keep thanking you until my last breath. And remember, you still have that contract. I do, but I doubt I'll need it. You won't. Oh, and Rachel, there's something else. It's about Mel. She needs a mother. But she already has one. Yeah, but not legally. Rachel just stared at me, and unexpectedly tears began to well up in her eyes. You're in for a treat tonight, she managed to say through her tears. And for the rest of your life. And indeed I was. So here we are, back in the present moment. I'm lounging by the pool in our backyard with my lovely wife stealing glances at me while I play with our son. Our wedding was an intimate affair, perfectly timed for her father to witness before he succumbed to cancer. Leading up to the wedding, I anxiously watched for any signs of a recurrence of madness, but Rachel understood my worries and simply smiled. It won't happen, Alex. Not this time. I've learned my lesson. And she was right. I only hope that marriage is smoother sailing for others. I always knew the process would be complicated and arduous, but Rachel and I seem to have taken it to another level. Dear readers, if you've followed the narrative closely, it concludes at this point. What ensues is essentially an alternate ending for those who prefer to jump straight to the conclusion. It's entirely nonsensical and bears no relation to the plot. I'm catering to those who favor straightforward narratives and swift resolutions, hence I've attempted to include requisite elements. I'm done with this, Rachel. I used to love you very much, but you completely extinguished all my feelings. No, she screamed. Alex, I'll fix it. Please give me another chance. Now I realize how stupid I was. I won't make the same mistake again. I've learned my lesson and I only love you, Alex. Too little, too late, Rachel. By the way, your lover Danny made the mistake of trying to confront me. He obviously didn't know about my past at the Navy SEALs. He's not a bad guy, Alex. Did you hurt him badly? I think not too much, but for a while he won't be able to walk or engage in intimacy. He never realized that this was a secret intelligence operation. I'm so sorry it came to this, Alex. Oh, and don't worry about the 15 million. They are safely hidden in my offshore account in the Cayman Islands. Alex, I know it looked bad, especially when I tried to give you illegal substances for the bandits, and they tried to steal your Mustang. But it wasn't about the money or its size. All I've ever wanted is you. But he can't be yours anymore, a female voice interrupted him from behind. Surprised, Rachel turned around. Who the hell are you? I'm Sasha, Alex's new bride. She was younger than Rachel and looked like a supermodel. And we, as the owner of an international private company, already have all the necessary evidence. If you are not careful, your video will be scattered all over the internet. You're done, Rachel. Alex and I are made for each other. Rachel's scream echoed like the roar of a jet engine. Yeah, you had an honest man and you left him. Now he's mine and I'm already pregnant with twins from him. Have a nice trip, Rachel. I really loved you once. But it's over forever. At that moment, Rachel realized how incredibly stupid she had been to treat Alex like that. But now it was too late. Yes, the consequences can be severe.